Last year, Acer introduced its thin and light gaming series called Triton, and this here is the latest Triton 500. It brings all of what we loved about last year's model along with upgraded components. My review unit comes with 10th Gen Intel i7 CPU, NVIDIA RTX 2070 Max-Q graphics, 16 gigs of RAM, 512GB SSD, and a 144Hz FHD IPS LCD panel. This here is not exactly the highest end variant, as you can get one that is configured with 300Hz screen and RTX 2080 graphics. Nonetheless, this premium laptop is still capable of producing excellent performance. I've spent some time with this laptop and it has really impressed me. But is it the perfect laptop for you? Well, you can decide upon that as I go through all the positives and some slight negatives about this device. So let's begin. Okay, for the most part, the Predator Triton 500 looks similar to the last year's model, and that's not a bad thing because the previous one was wonderfully crafted and had a very good build quality. It weighs around 2.1 kgs and is in the same company as that of the Zephyrus S GX 502 and the Razer Blade 15. It fits right into your backpack and you won't face any trouble commuting with it every day. You still get a dark blue aluminium chassis with a very sleek design. This design perfectly fits in any environment, be it your home or your office. The lid retains the glowing Predator logo, however, the Predator text is no longer there. And the lid opens up to 180 degrees, which might come in handy for some. One thing that you'll have to be very careful about is that the lid is very much a fingerprint magnet. It picks up smudges pretty quickly. And the screen flexes quite a bit, so you will have to be wary about that. Similarly, this year's keyboard provides a per-key RGB lighting, which the last gen Triton lacked. The keys have bright and punchy LEDs with 5 intensity levels. You can also customize it on your own through the Predator Sense app. Moving on, the keys have a nice bounce to them and you won't need a lot of force to activate each key, thereby it makes typing quite a joy. Another thing that I've liked about the keyboard is that they have provided a full-size cursor keys, unlike others who go for smaller cursor keys. However, you don't get a numpad here. But what you do get are the separate media keys just below the Predator Sense button, and a turbo button which, when turned on, increases the fan speed of the CPU and GPU for better performance. Alright, just below the keyboard is a standard glass trackpad. It is perfectly centered and works fairly well. However, I did face the issue of the trackpad being stuck sometimes. Maybe it is the issue with my review unit, but I've had a few problems because of this. One thing that could have been better though is the palm rest. It could have been a bit wider, but I can still make do with what's provided. For the input and output, on the left there is the air vent, a charging port, an RJ45 LAN port, a USB 3.2 Type A port, an HDMI port, a mic jack, and a headphone jack. The USB Type A port on the left side has an always-on feature and you can use it to charge up other devices even when this laptop is switched off. Similarly, on the right, you will find the other two USB 3.2 Type A ports, a Thunderbolt 3 port, a mini display port, a Kensington lock, and another air vent. The LED lights are also on the right side. Unfortunately, there isn't any biometric sensor or an SD card reader. Finally, on the bottom, there are 4 rubber stands for a better grip, air vents, and the speaker grills. As with the other Predator laptops, the Triton 500 too comes with the Predator Sense app. You can access it with the help of the dedicated key right below the power button or through the Windows menu. The app's UI is fairly simple and it is pretty much easy to use up the app. You can use the app to adjust the fan speed, overclock GPU, monitor system details, and adjust the RGB lighting on the keyboard. Another pre-installed app is the Killer Control Center, which allows you to manage all the network settings. And by the way, here you get the Killer 1650i Wi-Fi 6 module and Bluetooth 5.0. Here you also get the 2.5 gigabit LAN port through the Killer E3100G module. As for the display, you get a fairly standard 144Hz IPS LCD panel. The 144Hz panel here should be enough for you to play most games, but if you want better performance, you should opt for the 300Hz one. For the display quality, it produces vibrant colors and watching movies has been a treat. The panel is anti-reflective and has a fair amount of brightness too. Thus, you should be able to use the laptop in bright outdoor conditions without too much of a problem. Similarly, the panel is well calibrated as well. It covers 100% sRGB and around 72% of Adobe RGB color gamut. This is perfect for the occasional Photoshop and so on. However, I would recommend that professionals should opt for a better panel. For speakers, the Triton 500 packs in Acer's True Harmony speakers. These stereo speakers are located on the underside of the laptop. They're loud, they're clear, and they do not distort in the highest of volumes. But it is something that won't blow you away. But I would still suggest you go get a good pair of headphones for a truly immersive experience while gaming. Getting to the inside, you can upgrade the RAM and SSD. However, to do that, you will need to remove the motherboard as the Triton 500 implements a reverse design. To care of the thermals, there are plenty of ventilation ports around the edges and on the bottom. Basically, the heat gets sucked from the grills above the keyboard and from the bottom, then it is pushed out through the exhaust on the sides and the rear. Furthermore, the ventilation is supplemented by the vortex flow design, which strategically places 3 fans in the chassis. Also, Acer has added 5 new heat pipes along with the 4th generation AeroBlade 3D fans. This thermal setup does a very good job of dissipating the heat. You can easily use the laptop on your laps while doing simpler tasks such as web browsing. However, under heavy load like editing or playing games, the fan noise increases to a noticeable volume. And understandably, the noise is the loudest when the GPU is overclocked at extreme with the fans on turbo. You can cancel out the noise by using a headphone. Also, in the extreme GPU profile, you'll find the WASD keys reaching about 45 to 47 degrees. This is certainly a problem if you're planning on going for a long gaming session. For performance, the 10th Gen CPU and RTX 2070 Max-Q graphics variant that I have with me is quite powerful. For gaming, you will get the best results in turbo mode with GPU overclocking on in the extreme profile, and quite frankly, the results are quite outstanding. In Battlefield 5 without DirectX 12, the laptop managed around 103 FPS in ultra settings. You can play the game in medium settings to get around 130 to 135 FPS. Even with DirectX 12 and DXR ray tracing on, the Triton 500 can manage a respectable 81 to 82 FPS in the medium settings. However, this preset does not really add that much of a value to the experience. Thus, you can always go for the medium settings with ray tracing on for a good gaming performance. Other titles such as Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Apex Legends 2 fared very well. They managed around 80 FPS and 135 FPS in the highest settings. As for thermals, running games will definitely increase the temperature, but it should not trouble you so much. Still, as I mentioned earlier, the keys will get heated up after a prolonged gaming session. For battery, the Triton 500's endurance is something that did not impress me at all. In default settings with screen running at 144Hz and best performance battery mode on, while just browsing and watching videos, I barely got around 2 to 2.5 hours of battery life from this device. You could tweak the settings a little bit, like scale down the refresh rate to get a respectable 4 to 4.5 hours of battery life. The Triton 500 2020 might look like a simple hardware bump from last year's model. However, the 10th Gen Intel CPU and the NVIDIA graphics bring a lot to the table. It also has a cleaner design and a stronger chassis, and the ability to customize each and every key on this keyboard is an added bonus. Having said that, the Triton 500 does have a few flaws. Its speakers are not something that will wow you, and its battery life did not impress me at all. Also, the speakers will certainly trouble you if you do not use headphones. But all things considered, the Triton 500 is a beast of a laptop and it will not disappoint you. So that was all for our review of the Acer Predator Triton 500. For further details and analysis about this laptop, I have put down a link in the description below. Do not forget to check that out. And if you have any more queries about this laptop, do let us know in the comments below. Till then, I'm Pratima and thank you for watching.